And so after a long international break, Championship football returns tonight. Let's jump into it. So guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm glad that we do have Championship football returning this weekend. We got no more international breaks until March now, so the Championship really will be getting back into full swing. As always, want to get your guys' score predictions in the comments down below for a chance to be involved in the next video and get yourself onto the prediction league. It's really hotting up around that league at the moment. Before we do head into anything though, I must say make sure to go ahead and subscribe and leave a like on today's video if you do go in to enjoy. We're pushing our way towards 30,000 subscribers, so if you could help us get there, that would be massively appreciated. Also, if we get 300 likes on today's video, that will be massively appreciated as well. But without any further ado, let's hop into this one. And so starting it out with tonight's game, that sees Coventry going up against Birmingham. A bit of a peculiar matchup this one, obviously. Coventry are technically the home side, but with it being played at St Andrews, maybe Birmingham have got a bit of an advantage, but without the fans it's all a bit strange. But you do feel as if something has to give between these two sides, currently with Coventry shipping the most goals in the league so far this season, averaging over 2 goals conceded per 90. Birmingham themselves haven't been the most clinical. They've only hit the back of the net 9 times so far into this season. So, like I say, you do feel as if something has to give between the two sides too. Neither of which ended before the international break on the greatest run of form, each of them losing their last 2 matches. However, with Coventry, I do get the feeling they have got maybe a little bit unfortunate in their past few matches not to pick up more points, really. They seem to just switch off towards the end of matches, and that's what's cost them recently, you know. Ever since they had that game against Blackburn when they were, well beaten by 4 goals to nil, I have seen many signs of improvements from this Coventry side, especially going forward. It's just about keeping that concentration towards the end of the match. And then for Birmingham, they really seem to be like a bit of a hit or miss side. You don't know what you're going to get from them, but when they do set up solid and compact, they can be a really difficult side to play against. And I don't think there'll be all too much in it between these two. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and FIFA's going to agree with me for that one. Then to the early kick-off on Saturday, we see Bournemouth going up against Reading. Lot on this game. Bournemouth could go top of the Championship this weekend if they do win and results go their way. Now, for Reading, a lot's been looked into them so far this season. They were sort of dwindling towards the end of that run towards the international break. 11 goals conceded now in their last 4 matches. A lot of this and their sort of bad run of form can be coincided with injuries to real key players, especially Liam Moore at the back. I think that we've all now realised just how crucial he is to this Reading backline, but also injuries to Ajaria and Yaku Mete as well. I've seen that a late decision is going to be made on all of them if they will feature at the weekend or not. At the moment, from what I've read, it's looking more than likely that they probably won't be featuring, so that's obviously going to be quite the blow for Reading up against this Bournemouth side, who have looked really solid so far this season. Bournemouth really did look quite convincing in that game against Birmingham when they put 3 goals past them. A lot of their attacking players really starting to come into form now. David Brooks got a double in that game. Obviously Danjuma has been a real live wire so far this season, but with the sort of like a mismatched Reading side at the moment, I'm probably going to edge towards Bournemouth in this one. I'm going to go 2-1 to the home side, with FIFA saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Next up we then head to Oakwell as Barnsley going up against Nottingham Forest. Now, before the international break, Forest slowly starting to head in the right direction with back-to-back wins. Lyle Taylor very much seems to be the informed man for them at the moment with 3 goals in his last 2 matches. However, injuries are accumulating for the away side. I think they've got 6 first-team players out injured coming into this weekend's fixture. I'm interested to see how this new 5 substitutions rule affects the rest of the Championship in terms of teams who have a pretty big squad, but for Forest at the moment, they're a little bit down to the bare bones with some of their squad depth with the amount of injuries they've got. And away at Oakwell's not an easy fixture at this point in time. Barnsley unbeaten at home since the opening day of the season after they lost against Luton. They picked up some decent results in the meantime as well, and apart from that 3-0 loss they had against Cardiff, overall their form's been pretty good so far under their new manager. This was a huge game in Barnsley's season last time round as they won in the 93rd minute, which pretty much kept them up in the end. How do I see it going this time round? Do you know what? I am edging towards the home side. I'm going to go 2-1 Barnsley in this game, with FIFA saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Next up we have a very interesting one. Bristol City going up against Derby. It's going to be Derby's first match without Philip Koku this season. We're all eagerly anticipating how the sort of double act of Wayne Rooney and Liam Rosenior is going to get on for this Derby side. Now, at the moment, in terms of the managerial odds, the odds for Rooney are being shortened and shortened as Rafa Benitez has seemingly sort of like distanced himself from the job. I think that would have been a ridiculous one if they did manage to pull it off. But even so, heading into this game against Bristol City, not the easiest fixture in the world. I'm a bit sort of like hesitant to get swept up in the hype of Bristol City because I think that this sort of thing can happen every season. But really, the signs have been encouraging for them so far this season. Before the international break, it was 2 really impressive victories back-to-back against Huddersfield and Cardiff, 2 pretty tough matches that they came through with 6 points from. In terms of Derby, struggled so far this season, currently bottom of the Championship, but credit where credit's due, their best performances probably have come away from home so far this season. At home, they've struggled a little bit more. When they can go away, look to hit teams on the counter and look to soak up the pressure a little bit more, they can be a little bit more effective. But with the way Bristol City are playing at the moment, even with some of the injuries they have, I think I'm going to go for a home side victory. I'm going to go 2-1 Bristol City in this game, with FIFA saying it'll be a goalless draw. But I'm very interested to see how this Derby side moves forward this season without Koku. Next up, we then go to Luton as they face off against Blackburn, 2 sides who have had fairly similar starts to the season so far. If Blackburn win this match, they'll go level on points with Luton, but Luton not a side to be taken lightly at the moment. Since Nathan Jones has returned to Luton, they've only lost 5 out of the 20 matches he's been in charge of, and one of the biggest sort of upturns in form that we've seen from Luton is their defensive record as well. Like, compared to Graham Jones when he was in charge, it's night and day at the back. They keep things a lot tighter. They're also very good without the ball, so could pose a real threat to someone like Blackburn Rovers, who they themselves like to be quite dangerous without the ball. They're really good on transitions and hitting teams on counter-attacks, obviously with the league's most informed striker in Adam Armstrong in their team at the moment. He was in form before the international break, bagged a brace against QPR on his return from injury. I don't think there'll be all too much in this one, and I would like to say I think it'll be quite a lively sort of end-to-end game as well, actually. Kaminsky back for Blackburn's obviously a massive bonus for them, for shoring them out up at the back where they have looked a little bit dodgy at times this season. Score prediction, I am edging towards the away side. I think I'm going to go 2-1 Blackburn, with FIFA saying be 2-0 Blackburn. To the Riverside, we've got one of the most interesting games going on this weekend. That sees Middlesbrough going up against Norwich. 2 different philosophies going up against each other here. Middlesbrough in unbelievable form, unbeaten in their last 10 matches. On average so far this season, Middlesbrough face just 9 shots per match, so they don't give away a lot to the opposition. That's by far the best in the Championship, with only 5 goals actually conceded this far into the season. Norwich, though, are a team with a lot of options going forward, and we've seen them having a few sparks in terms of those forward moves throughout the season so far. If things aren't working for them, they've got the options to come on from the bench. You know, someone like a Mario Varancic, who's already come up with 2 game-winning moments for them so far this season. But this is probably going to be one of Norwich's biggest tests in terms of going forward this season, actually. Under Neil Warnock, Middlesbrough are an incredibly well-drilled side, albeit they haven't been the most sort of free-scoring side so far this season. But while they're keeping clean sheets, they don't need to score too many goals. You know, 1 goal's enough for them at the moment, isn't it? For a score prediction, I'm going to say these two will end up cancelling each other out. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw and say that Middlesbrough will get a goal from a set piece or something like that. I really don't see a lot being in this one. FIFA's saying it'll be a 0-0 draw, which I could also see. Next up to the den, we got Millwall going up against Cardiff. This has the feeling of 2 sides which could potentially cancel each other out for this one. Cardiff not heading into the international break on the greatest run of form, and so far this season they've not really got themselves going. They've got the makings of a really good defensive side, but haven't quite, as of yet, clicked into gear. But under Neil Harris, I still think Cardiff eventually will find their flow for this season. Millwall, on the other hand, really good defensively so far this season, albeit haven't been as free scoring as they potentially could be. Actually, in their last 3 matches, they've not hit the back of the net, 2 of those games being goalless draws. Now, they do have Troy Parrott, who is back from injury now. He featured for Ireland's under-21s during the international break, and that's going to be some boost for Millwall, who Kenneth Hall is out injured for the next few weeks, so he won't be able to feature against his former side in this one. So Troy Parrott, we'll wait and see, won't we? He could be the player to make all the difference for Millwall. Like I say, this does sort of have the feeling of 2 sides which could cancel each other out, and I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this one, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Millwall. Next up then, we have Nottm going up against Sheffield Wednesday, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit nervous for this match. Sheffield Wednesday now under Tony Pulis. If there was a blueprint for the sort of side that we've struggled against so far this season, especially at Deepdale, Tony Pulis would be exactly that to a T. So far this season, teams that have come back and been a little bit cautious at Deepdale look to soak up the pressure and then hit us either on counter-attacks or from set pieces and things like that. There's quite a bit of joy that teams have got out of Preston at Deepdale so far this season. Still, the only side in the Championship yet to pick up a point at home so far this season. We've only scored 1 goal. That was an absolute wonder goal by Jayden Stockley, and we got a bit of injury news as well. We will be without Alan Brown, who obviously came back from international duty with a positive COVID test, so that's going to be a bit of a blow for us. To be honest, I don't think the international break came at an awful time for Preston. It was a bit of time where some of our players looked a little bit jaded in that last one against Rotherham, I think that the recovery will have done us quite good. But Sheff Wed themselves are on an awful run of form. Their last 2 matches, a win against Bournemouth and a draw against Millwall, back-to-back clean sheets. I can't stress this enough, but I think the first goal is absolutely massive for this game. If Preston go on to score first, I think we win this match. If Wednesday get it first, we struggle so much to get back into games. I don't want to say this, but I've got a bad feeling about this one. I'm going to go 1-0 Sheff Wednesday and just hope that I'm proven wrong, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 Preston. Next up, we got the potential for a really good game in this one. QPR against Watford. Watford's last 2 games have both finished 3-2, successive wins for them, but they have looked a little bit more susceptible at the back. They started the season out fantastically, not giving away a lot to the opposition, but at times, you know, when teams have attacked them, there have been a couple of weaknesses there, and a team like QPR especially, who when they do really like to get forward and hit you with a bit of pace going forward, there's potential for this game to be quite exciting. Now, QPR are a really tough side to put your finger on at the moment, because when they're good, they can be very good, but when they're bad, they can be very bad. And at the moment, there doesn't really seem to be any sort of in-between with QPR, you know. With the games they had against Blackburn and Barnsley, they look quite shoddy, especially defensively, but then against Cardiff and Derby, they actually look really good in quite a composed championship outfit. So, tough side to put your finger on. It's very much a question of which QPR side turns up for this one. Probably one of the more inconsistent teams we've seen in the league so far this season. Sarr, very much the informed man for Watford at the moment. He's got 3 goals in his last 4 matches for them. For a score prediction, I can imagine towards Watford, although if QPR do show up for this one, they will cause a few problems. I'm going to go 2-1 to the away side, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 Watford. Next up, we then go to Stoke against Huddersfield. Now, Stoke have had quite the conundrum when it comes to goalkeepers lately, with both Adam Davis and Angus Gunn picking up injuries. They're both going to be missing this one and set to be out for the next few weeks. So they have gone ahead and recalled youngster Joe Bursick, who was out on loan at Doncaster for the first part of the season, where fair play to him, he was seemingly doing quite well for them actually. And giving credit to Stoke, probably some of their best players so far this season have actually been some of the youngsters who have been up and coming players through the youth academy, you know, none more so than Tyrese Campbell. So perhaps another youngster added into the equation won't actually turn out to be too bad of a thing for Stoke going forward. But speaking of Tyrese Campbell, it's probably the battle of 2 of the most exciting young and upcoming attackers in this game. Tyrese Campbell up against Josh Koroma of Huddersfield. Now, for Huddersfield, we've all spoken about it, the transition of football that they've been playing this season has been a lot more appealing to watch, and between these 2 sides, I don't think there'll be all too much in this one. We'll wait and see how the whole goalkeeper issue affects Stoke, but heading into the international break, they were on a decent run of form. They've won 3 of their last 5 matches. With the injury news for Stoke, though, I'm going to sit on the fence a little bit for this one. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. FIFA's going to agree with me, but it should be a good game nonetheless. Coming up next, we then got Swansea going up against Rotherham. Now, this Rotherham side definitely not to be underestimated. Their game before the international break, they did beat Nottm by 2-1, caused us problems from set pieces and on counter-attacks and things like that. So Swansea definitely have to be cautious, but Swansea themselves, I thought, got quite unlucky, I'd say, with their last game before the international break. They did lose against Norwich, but they created a lot of high-scoring, good opportunities in that game. You know, how Jamal Lowe didn't have hit the back of the net, I'm not too sure. But for this one, you'd feel like they'd want to get back to winning ways, albeit if Rotherham score first, I think they'll make it very difficult for this Swansea side. Swansea are one of the clubs this season who do have top 6 aspirations, and with how strong the relegated 3 clubs are looking in the Championship at the moment, we don't want a situation in the Championship where those 3 sides sort of like run away with it. So Swansea very much want to keep up the pressure at the top end of the Championship. I don't think there'll be all too much in this one, but I do think Swansea will just scrape through. I'm going to go 1-0 to the home side, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 Rotherham. And then as our final matchup this weekend, we got Wycombe going up against Brentford. Now, these 2 sides have already met this season, the opening round of the Carabao Cup. It was a 1-1 draw, which Brentford eventually went on to win on penalties, but it was an interesting matchup nonetheless. 2 very much conflicting styles of going up against each other. I think that Brentford had about 75% possession or something silly like that, which was probably helped by Wycombe being down to 10 men, Dominic Gape sent off. But nevertheless, Wycombe caused Brentford quite a few problems, and I think I wouldn't be too surprised to see them do the same in this one. Brentford, as of yet, haven't quite clicked into gear like I know a lot of us thought. They're not all too far away from the top 6 though, and you're listening, you know, a couple of decent results and Brentford will be right up there within no time. But 3 draws within their last 4 matches. Now they need to start turning a couple of those into 3 points, albeit they have had some tough fixtures lately. Wycombe not heading into the international break on the bad run of form themselves. They picked up 7 points from their last 4 matches. This one's all going to be about how Wycombe can take their chances when they do come around. You know, they're probably not going to see all too much of the ball. You'd expect them to have like maybe 2 or 3 really good chances. It's all about if they can put them away. Score prediction, I'm going to play it safe and go with Brentford for this one. I'm going to go 2-0 to the away side, whereas FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Wycombe. But guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. So as always, do get your score predictions in the comments down below. I'm interested to see what you guys are saying for this weekend, and do get yourselves onto that prediction leaderboard. It's really hotting up in there at the moment. Also, leave in the comments down below, what do you make of this new rule around the EFL whereby clubs will be now allowed 5 substitutions per match. Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? But apart from that, thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.